down effect.
Well, George Washington said one of the most important qualities for a society to have is civility. And what does civility mean? The founding fathers did not agree on a lot of stuff. I mean, Madison didn't agree with Hamilton and Jefferson. They were very much at odds about how to go forward with this republic. But they talked it out. They compromised. Nobody got violent besides Aaron Burr and fucking Hamilton later. But for the most part, they compromised. They talked. And George Washington said, civility, the ability to listen to the other side, even though when you don't agree with them and put your ideas together, that's how you move things forward. And we just don't have that anymore.
Yeah,
we just don't have it at all.
I think that's a really good point. And that's what bothers me the most about this is not that they're not correct, that there's some real problems. Yeah. It's the way everybody's going about it that makes me say, like, do you understand what happens when you yell at people? Like, you can't just push people. There's people that don't understand violent consequences. There's people that don't understand conflict. And they don't know how to mitigate it, and they don't know how to, like, be calm and how to figure their way through a situation. There's dangerous levels of aggression that get reached when you have, like, Antifa feuding with these people that are trying to do some sort of a speech somewhere, and there's supporters of the speech, and then there's Antifa, and everybody's getting together and screaming, and there's fire and bike locks, and people are beating the shit out of each other. All this stuff. I mean, there's plenty of videos of this happening. This doesn't have to end here, okay? This wasn't here 5 years ago. Understand this. That this could escalate in 5 years to be significantly worse than it is now. Yeah. And me as a person who I don't want violence around me. I see that shit coming, and I go, oh, these guys are fighting. Let's get the fuck out of here. You don't want to go get close to them and hope you catch a stray bullet.
No. Well, especially if you have kids.
Problem is that
if it gets worse in 5-10 years, like, fuck,
dude,
man.
the problem is that conflict comes to you.
Yes.
I mean, the problem is that
it's a matter of time.
It's unnecessary. It's not how we should communicate with each other. And I think there's also people that are emboldened by movements, right? They become a part of a movement, and then they want to do something to commit to that movement. It's very similar to joining a fucking militia. It's very similar to joining a resistance movement.
Social media makes it easier too.
Yep.
Social media has made it easier to find your tribe, surround yourself with people who see the world exactly like you do, and organize and attack the other side.
They say with social media, that's what makes ISIS kind of so violent and also so scary, is because social media, the first ones kind of mastered social media.
Yeah. My bigger worry is also the fact that people can't even agree on the validity of their sources. So if I say, well, according to the United Nations or the Bureau of Labor and Statistics, and you go, that's bullshit. So now I can't even get off the ground
because there's too much info.
Right. So I'm going through. If I go to mainstream sources, you go, that's mainstream and that's bullshit, and they're bought off by corporations.
They have an agenda.
I can't even have an argument now.
Well, here's something that I'm trying to get better at, and I've worked on it a lot. I try really hard to not be connected to whatever I believe in. And I try to win a conversation. Those are two very important things.
You mean open-minded, Joe?
Yes. But I'm trying harder than I've ever tried in my life, and I've been on a path trying to do this for years now and getting better at it because of just listening to podcasts, and having podcasts and having conflicts with people and trying to figure out why I had those conflicts and how much of it was my fault, how much of it could I have prevented, how much of I could have done a better job as a host or as a person who's trying to relay the information. And through time, I have tried my hardest, and it's something I concentrate on all the time, to not be connected to my ideas. To argue them if I feel like there's merit, but argue the merit, not argue my connection.
Your emotional connection.
Emotional connection to that. So when someone does that, I get exhausted now because I know where it's going. I'm like, we're going to waste a lot of time with this because you're not willing to even think about the possibility.
I said to Jordan, the last podcast I did with Jordan Peterson, I said, do you feel like you're winning this debate? Because at this point he'd become so famous, and he said, I don't want to win this because I'm going to create resentful people who feel like resentful losers. That's not the point. The point is to figure out a way to present ideas so that they are accessible to the people whose minds I'm trying to change.
This is exactly what he said about Trump supporters. He said, if you disagree with Trump supporters, don't insult them. Don't make them feel like they're losers.
Exactly.
He goes, no, that doesn't make anybody feel good.
Right.
And how do you think
it's also not true.
But he also said, how do you think they're going to react to that? Do you think they're just going to give in to you? Right. And he's a clinical psychologist, so he understands how human brains work.
We do that immediately. What do we say about Trump supporters? A lot of people. They go, they're racists, they're
Sexist.
they're sexist,
Transphobic,
they're Mexican
homophobic.
haters, and all this stuff.
Yep.
Whereas maybe the left presented an alternative that was unacceptable to them. They didn't like this con man or this guy who was an egotist, but they were like, let's give it a shot.
Right.
I have $300 in the bank. I got no other options. There's also that. Give people the benefit of the doubt. Most people are not assholes.
Yeah, unquestionably. There's both of those things. And there's some people that are assholes.
Sure.
That's part of the problem is that you run into enough of those hurt your feelings, and you think, oh, all Trump supporters are assholes.
They're the
because I ran into-
minority, though, right?
But that's
kinda
negativity
like
bias.
haters
all
online.
humans. I feel like it's all
Yeah,
humans.
negativity bias too is also something
Yes.
where our brains
We gravitate towards
If
that.
I get caught with a
That
left
sticks
hook,
out.
I'm not
Well,
gonna. I'm
well,
gonna
same
keep my
on
hand up.
Instagram. If you have 1,000 comments and 900 of them are positive, you'll see the one negative.
Yeah.
Like,
No, if you
motherfucker.
have 900 and you have 100 that are negative, you're fucked.
Super fucked.
You're gonna read 100 negative
Well,
comments.
you know
like,
what I'm saying. Like you'll have a million.
That's why I don't read any
positive.
comments.
But
Yeah.
think about how amazing that is. That you have 90% positive in this crazy world.
Oh, I know.
So
Everything's all good.
Right. So if you have,
But your mind looks like your mind goes towards the negative.
Well, yeah, but what I'm saying is that the numbers, as they expand, they get more and more ridiculous. So if you have a podcast and the podcast gets 1 million downloads and you get 100,000 negative comments and 900,000 positive ones, like, oh,
Have you looked at-
this is exhausting.
Have you looked at how many people alcohol kills versus guns, for example?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, wow, you ain't
I mean,
crazy.
but nobody's talking about banning alcohol. You could really
Well,
go
no,
into all
it's
these
past
details,
that,
right?
yeah.
There-
Well,
sometimes
shortened
the
lives
severity of
because
something
of obesity, shortened lives because of poor diet.
kills way more people than terrorism.
Yeah, it kills a lot of fucking people.